biggest pearls.
Wow, that's a beautiful one.
That's worth a fortune.
It took me 14 hours to fly from Europe to Indonesia, flying over the Indian Ocean, a few degrees below the equator. Jakarta is the capital city, and at the same time is the gateway to the strand of more than 7,000 tropical islands. Okay, here we are, Jakarta by night. First of all, I want to go to Chinatown to eat my favorite, which is the original, the spiritual one, and that's why I come here for. Bali is an island famous with its mountains, volcanoes, ceremonies. This island is fascinating somehow. Lush vegetation, unspoiled landscape, good people with a unique culture. I will visit one of the few pearl farms of Bali, which is located at the far west end of the island. Samba Jumba! The area which I'm passing now is one of the most sacred in Bali. Farming rice here has a direct connection to the gods. It is somehow divine work related to the goddess of fertility, Dewi Sri. The fertility of this island comes from this volcanic soil. Here, they harvest rice 4 times a year, while elsewhere, like Jaffa for example, they only harvest twice a year. I love those rice fields. At the sunset, they reflect the sky like mirrors. I just can't help myself from stopping here to absorb and breathe this nature and the beautiful landscape. I don't think I'm gonna make it to the pearl farm today, but I know I could.
Maximum. What is the difference between cultured pearls and natural pearls?
The cultured pearls are pearls that are grown by farmers like myself, as opposed to the natural pearls that come out of the wild oysters. So we cultivate not only the pearl but also the oyster.
But is there any difference between these pearls and the other pearls?
Cultured pearls are real pearls. They're all real pearls. Okay. But the pearls that we grow, what they call cultured pearls, we seed ourselves, as opposed to nature seeding the oyster. Normally in nature the pearl would be formed from a little grain of sand or something that gets into the oyster and irritates the oyster, whereas we cause that irritation by implanting a nuclei. The only difference would be the cultured pearls you can get much rounder. They're more perfect, if you like, in colour, in shape, in size, than a natural pearl.
Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi.
Apa kabar?
Bagus sekali, bos.
Oh, you guys got a serious operation going on here. Lots of oysters.
This is the X-ray machine and the X-ray process, where we see whether they've got a pearl inside.
So you see, they want to make sure that every one of these oysters got a pearl inside. They don't want to work for 2 years for nothing, you know. Go, please, go. Just go, go, go. Can you stop? Stop, please. Thank you. Most of these oysters have a pearl inside. The measure between these lines you see here on the screen is 15 millimeter. So they can also check the size of the pearl. Oh, here is an empty one. So he just reject the empty one. If the pearl is less than 12 millimeter, they will put the oyster back to the ocean, and the empty ones they take away. Does the position makes a difference?
Yeah, definitely. The shape, the size, the quality of the oyster. So we're not just looking at if it's present, we're looking at the position.
Oh yeah, so what is the best position? Is it the one where the pearl is right in the middle of the oyster like this?
This is the gonad in here, so this position, just under the adductor.
I see, so this is the best position. Oh, so that gives the most, the perfect
biggest,
pearl,
the roundest,
right?
yeah, the most
so
expensive.
the roundest pearl you get out of this position. That's very interesting. So how much this machine costs, if I may ask?
In Australia, between 80 and 100,000.
The current in these waters is very strong. It depends very much on the moon. High tide, low tide. We are now a few days from the full moon and the current is at its peak. Back on the shore, the daily routine continues.
Okay, so that's how they clean. That's how they look like when you get them out of the ocean. You know, they got a lot of algae and a little bit of oyster and all kind of things on top of them. And they gotta clean them. That's what they do. With this one here, and just clean, take everything away. They have to watch out that they don't damage them, you know? It's very important that they only take the outside away, what's hanging it, what's thick. That's how they clean.
There are 50 people from the surrounding village working on the farm. They are trained by David and a team of experts from Australia. Later in the afternoon, the current became milder, and they carried the fresh showered oysters back.
A pen is a classic gift, be it a birthday, graduation, or promotion. We're not talking ballpoints here, but rather the Rolls-Royce models, in sleek metal or sumptuous wood. The quill dates back to about 700 AD. Made from a bird feather, its tip had to be repeatedly dipped in ink. Messy and inefficient, the quill remained the norm for more than 1,000 years, until 1884, when an American invented the fountain pen, with its built-in refillable ink barrel. But the true revolution came with the no-fuss ballpoint pen, patented by two Hungarian brothers in 1938. Handcrafted wooden pens can be made from just one type of wood or from a combination of woods. Here, some 50 different kinds are used, ranging from maple and oak to rosewood, ebony, olive wood, and purple heart. When using just one type of wood, the craftsman runs the block through a bandsaw, cutting a 15 by 15 mm wide strip. Then, with a radial saw, he cuts that strip into two pieces, each about 5 centimeters long. These will become the pen's top and bottom casings. Using a tool called a drill press, a hole is bored roughly 7 mm in diameter, right through each piece. Making a pen from a combination of woods takes a little more work. Instead of using a block of solid wood, a body is constructed by gluing together thin planks of contrasting woods. Once the glue dries, a wood planer removes the excess and smooths out the sides. Then, just as he did for the single wood pen, the craftsman cuts the block into 15 by 15 mm wide strips. Only this time, he slices diagonally, so that each strip will showcase the multiple woods. Again, he cuts pieces for the top and bottom casings, then drills a hole through them. From this point on, whether one or more woods, the process is the same. 2 brass tubes are coated with glue, and each one inserted into a casing. A few drops of water are added to expand the adhesive into any gaps between the tubing and surrounding wood. These brass tubes will house the pen's mechanism. The glue takes about an hour to dry. Then the worker uses what's called a hand mill to square all the angles and remove the excess glue. Now for the skillful part. He turns the casings on a lathe to shape them. First he rounds them out. Then, using a series of tools, he gives each casing unique detailing. The grooves are highlighted by the heat that friction generates, burning them dark. When the design work's done, the craftsman runs sanding cord inside the grooves. Then he sands the surface 3 times with progressively finer sandpaper. To protect the wood, he varnishes the casings with 4 coats of hardwood floor varnish, sanding between each application. When the last coat dries, he can assemble the pen, starting with the tip. He glues it to the bottom casing, tapping it with a mallet to ensure it's fully inserted. The tip is made of titanium, a highly resilient metal. Next comes the clip, also made of titanium. He glues this onto the top casing. Finally, using a vise, he forces in the pen's mechanism. The mechanism houses a replaceable ink cartridge. A titanium ring joins the 2 casings. As an added touch, the pen can be personalised with an engraved clip. And the gift box can bear the recipient's name, which is nice.